You can delete every shopping app, skip every night out, do a year long buy nothing challenge. But if you're hemorrhaging money on a big inflexible expense, you will still feel broke. I watched a friend cut out coffee, cancel streaming services, and stop seeing friends. She maybe saved $200. Meanwhile, she was overspending by around $1,000 on housing she didn't even like. From inside big tech, I can tell you the buy nothing trend is missing the point and it's making people miserable for no reason. Hey everyone, I am a software engineer still working in big tech 20 years in. I'm also a licensed enroll agent. I passed the IRS exam and I study this stuff. So when I see people doing buy nothing challenges, I'm not just watching as a friend. I'm watching as someone who understands the actual math and who likes studying this stuff. And the math doesn't work the people think the way it works. Everyone's talking about this buy nothing challenges now, not spending for a month, cut every subscription, make coffee at home, and I get it. People want control of their finances. They want to feel like they're doing something about their finances. But here's what I'm watching happen. People cut everything that brings them joy while still hemorrhaging money on expenses they never question. I'm sure it has happened to me in past as well. The pattern that I'm seeing is that the friend is probably making 150 to 160K per year on a she's on a strict budget, tracks every dollar, no takeouts, no new clothes, no social events, saves around $300 per month and feels proud. But she's spending around 43% of her income on a house she bought at the peak. Now that's an extra $1,500 a month compared to renting something smaller. She optimized the wrong thing because the housing has costs associated with it. Now she's miserable. No social life, no small treats, stuck in the house she can barely afford, all because she focused on cutting the small stuff instead of fixing the big stuff first. What actually drains money is these kind of big expenses. The typical US household spends 43% of the income on housing, before electricity, before groceries, and before anything else. Right? Can you believe that? The housing prices have skyrocketed, as you all know. Almost half the income is gone before you know it, and in some cities it's even worse. The math that nobody is talking about. Let's say you spend $3,500 a month on housing. You could cut out coffee, you could cut out streaming services, you could cut out dinners out. You potentially would save 400 to $500 per month. But you could potentially move somewhere else that's cost 2,500 a month, and that's instant saving of $1,000 a month. One decision saves more than cutting everything else combined. But why does nobody do it? Because moving is hard. It's uncomfortable. It feels like settling. Cutting coffee is easy. You can do it today, feels productive. So people keep on optimizing for the small stuff and still wonder why they still feel broke. Now, what I learned as an immigrant is is the following. I came to United States washing dishes during my grad school. I had no safety net, no family support. So if I made bad decisions, there was no one to bail me out. So I had to think differently about money. Americans talk about budgeting, cutting subscriptions, meal prepping, buying generic brands, and that's completely fine. And you should probably be doing it up to a certain extent. But in my home country, at least in my family, we thought about money differently. The big decisions, housing, transportation, and healthcare, those had to be right. Because you can't budget your way out of paying $1,000 too much every month on rent. Here's what I noticed. The happiest people aren't the one that cuts everything. They are the ones who is spending intentionally. For example, one friend wants to spend $400 a month on travel, but they live in a tiny apartment and drive a beat up car. Another person spends $300 a month on a month on a beautiful home, never travels, cooks every meal. Both are happy because they spend what matters to them and cut ruthlessly on everything else. The difference is that my buy nothing challenge treats all the spending as bad, but that's not true. Spending on things that you value isn't the problem. Overspending on things you don't value is the problem. When I was on dialysis 3 times a week, 4 hours per session for 2 years, I learned what actually mattered. And it wasn't the that stuff like buy nothing challenges focuses on. What gave me freedom was smaller house payments. I had breathing room when I could barely work, a paid off car, a slightly older paid off car, one less bill to worry about, a savings buffer. I didn't panic when I needed time off. Those big decisions early in my life saved me. And not because he was trying to be frugal, but I had optimized the things that actually mattered as, as far as possible. What I did not miss, coffees from cafe, didn't matter. I love those. I still have those early in the morning. New clothes did matter, so I didn't buy any clothes because I don't like clothes. Fancy dinners, sometimes we did take fancy dinners, so cutting them didn't matter. But here's what did matter to me, being able to see friends whenever I had energy, ordering takeout when we were too exhausted to cook, small treats that made the worst 2 years of my life feel less miserable. And I could afford those because I wasn't hemorrhaging money on housing and cars that I didn't need. The problem with buy nothing, as I see it, is you spend too much money on it assumes that you spend too much money on small discretionary items. For most people, the real problem is you spend too much money on big, inflexible things you never question. You buy houses because it's an investment. You upgrade because you can afford it now. You all pay because that's what the house cost in the particular area. And I can tell you from my experience, a housing, your primary home, is not an investment. It's a lifestyle choice because you live in it and you can't just sell it because you'll have to buy something else to live in it unless you are downsizing. So what happens is that suddenly 40 to 50% of your income is gone before you even made a single discretionary purchase. No amount of coffee cutting will fix that. Now let's talk about cars. You finance a new car because you work hard, you deserve it. You upgrade every few years because the old one had problems. You pay $600 to $1,000 a month nowadays and think it's normal. But that's $7,200 a year you can't spend on anything else. You make more money, so you upgraded your life proportionately. Bigger house, nice car, better neighborhood. Your income goes up 30%, your expenses also go up 30%, and you still feel broke. And then somebody tells you to stop buying coffee. I'm not saying don't budget. I'm not saying spend recklessly. I'm saying fix the big inflexible expenses first, then decide what you want to spend on. The order matters. Get housing right, get transportation right, get health insurance right so you are protected. Then look at something else and spend what matters for you, not what Instagram says you should cut. When your big expenses are optimized, you have choices, and that's what you want in life. You can spend $500 on travel if that matters to you. You can spend $300 per month on hobbies. You can say yes to dinners with friends because you're not hemorrhaging money on a house and a car you didn't even care about. Now that's the difference. So final thought is Everybody's doing this buy nothing challenges, competing to see who can cut the most, tracking every dollar, saying no to everything, and still feel broke. It is okay for 15 to 20 days, but this is not sustainable in long run because they're optimizing the wrong thing. They never question the big inflexible expenses, and that's the problem. Fix those first, spend on what matters, and stop punishing yourself for buying expensive coffee. So, see you next time, and subscribe to this channel if you want to hear my thoughts on big tech and finance. Bye bye.